Right. So, for take 17, let's go. Gwen, can a chartered accountant
She's shaking her head in the back.
I'm also
it has to be a blooper. It has to be.
Internal auditor.
Sorry?
I get just
Say it again.
that.
Say it again.
Can an internal auditor, A-I-O, A-E-I-O-U, can internal
Give you a blooper. You have to post this one. You have to.
Say chartered accountant.
Chartered accountant.
You got it.
You think I can't?
No, what were you saying? What was she saying?
No, because you're making me nervous now. My legs are sweaty now. I'm telling you.
She's an internal auditor. We're asking her. She is an internal auditor. Can she audit a chartered accountant? Can an internal auditor audit a chartered accountant?
Okay, or you can say, can you audit a chartered accountant?
No, we have
Can you
to. This
audit
has to be a blooper.
accountant?
No.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is another episode. I know you're no strangers to the guest that we have on the show today. We decided to do it full circle because we know some of you might have some questions, mainly because we also didn't plug her channel when we did the first two specials, which was mine and Brazil. So the only reason why she agreed to do the specials for us was if you're going to plug her channel as well, so that the Six fans can also go and see her channel. But unfortunately, Brazil didn't do that, so you can blame him for that. But anyway, it was my amazing idea to bring her back on the show again. So thank you very much to me for that. You can thank me later. We have a special guest on the show, ladies and gentlemen. She is an internal auditor. She is an accountant, and she's also a podcast host. But her podcast name is going to be put on the screen right now. Please check it out when you have the time. It used to be only for females, but then she recently started putting guys on there as well. So Gents, you can go and have a look at her podcast. Most importantly, she is a child of God. A very, very good friend of mine, a very, very decent woman, a very, very smart, intelligent somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Gwen to the show once again. So, Mrs. Gwen, how you sitting up with the Mr. Captain? Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me once again.
Yes, we just want to talk and engage with you on specific things. The point of today's show, as you can see, this lovely black lady here as well. We want to talk about women and everything around women, right? We've also got our main bra there as well. You can't see her today. Melissa, she put all her makeup on only to say that she wants to be a ghost. So I don't know. Fair enough. She's never ever looked like this from the time that I've known her.
Yo. Telling me I look like a parrot all the time. Wow.
Gwen, thank you very much for being on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm happy
How was
to be
that
back.
intro?
I'm happy to be back.
Out of 10?
I'll tell you after the show.
How? You can say now out of 10. How was the intro? You give it a 5, a 4, a 6, a 10 out of 10?
No. Your time to shine is coming.
You've never been introduced like that. Let's just put it like that. Let's just start right
It's actually my first time taking the guest seat.
there.
So I'm always the one asking questions and interviewing people. So this one is quite weird, but hey, let's see.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling excited. Maybe it's because I'm coming back for the third time now. So I'm getting quite familiar with the Tex family, and it's lovely to be here.
You're the perfect guest. Gwen was here from 1 o'clock, bro. Never, ever, ever, ever in my life have we been so privilege to have a guest that even comes before the host.
And it's 3:45 now. So.
And it's Melissa's fault, just by the way.
Wow.
How?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I was here at my house. It's your fault, Melissa.
Someone has to take the blame.
I can show you several screenshots. I've been asking him from 11 o'clock.
Bring the
what time
receipts.
should I be ready? Wow.
Right. So let's get into it, right?
Mhm.
We want to talk about just women in general. So, as I mentioned, you are a internal auditor. What's that like? Is it a male-dominated field? Is it a female-dominated field? What is an internal auditor in the first place? What does that do?
Okay. So an internal auditor, I think most people are familiar with an accountant, a chartered accountant. So that's with SICA. So an internal auditor is with the Institute of Internal Auditors, but mainly they focus on financial statements for the company, governance, risk management, reporting, legal aspects of the business. So it's basically someone who ensures that the business is running as it should, legally so, and also you make profit as you do your business. Also, you make profits in the right way. So you don't exploit your people while you get your money. So there's like your 3Ps, profit people, and the other P. But an internal auditor is basically there to ensure that the business and the governance of the business is running smooth and as legally as they can. So internal audits and chartered accountants, similar in the aspect that we do financial statements. So chartered accountants are more into the actual income statement, your balance sheet, and all the financials. So we also look at your risk management of the company, your control measurements that are there, reporting, assurance, legal. So basically all the company frameworks that you can think of, we have to be involved. Is it male dominated? Absolutely. But I think there's quite a shift now. I was looking at the CA stats on LinkedIn, and we can see that more females are actually doing well in attaining their certifications. So in internal audit and chartered accountancy, that field, I think more women are coming on board. And also there's like a spectrum of every race that you can find. So I think that's lovely. And it's quite challenging, but I think if you have your why correct, you enjoy it and you make it. And also, there's quite decent money.
Is it a boring job?
Depends on what boring to you is, but
Okay, compared to podcasting that you do as well. Is it?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Some people just want to do financials and financials only for as long as they can do it. For me, on the other end, I've done radio, I've done media. I'm also into podcasting now. So I think I have an interest in media as much as I did in accounting and finance. So maybe it's just a transition point and I'm finding the podcasting space and the media space to be more enjoyable, but not to say there's anything boring. It's not boring, but I think it has its people. It has its industry people. People who are doing it can tell you that they enjoy it and they love it. But it's challenging. That I'm not going to lie. Running after people, making sure that everyone is doing the right thing. Not everyone wants to do the right thing. So you have to, keep chasing.
As an internal auditor, do you work for the company or do you work for the establishment, like the internal auditing? Because I think an internal auditor can make a company lose their license to trade, right?
Yes.
So if you work for a company, obviously, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, how can you work for a company and then let them lose their license to trade? So what is the sole responsibility of an internal auditor in terms of the organization and in terms of the establishment of internal auditors?
Okay, I think that's a very good question because I think most people find themselves in that middle line where you have to abide by your company rules and you have to make sure that you respect their objectives and how they do things. But also because you belong to a certification body, so the certification body also does something called a quality assurance and improvement program. So they check your work. So there's always check the auditor, programs that are there. So you also make sure that your certification body is happy with how you are doing your work. So in terms of bridging the gap between the two and making sure that you toe the line, you protect everyone, is you try and make sure that the company doesn't get to that point. So you have to insist, like this company that I worked with before, they were ISO certified. So ISO has different requirements. So then my job was, as much as I belong to a certification body, but I have to protect them against ISO so that they don't take away the certification.
Bro,
So
one thing I hated was ISO
yeah,
47001, 9001. Your quality and all your files must be
yes,
done.
yes.
Bro,
So
that
we
thing was
make
so
sure
irritating,
that you
bruh.
do things the right way, because if you're saying your company is ISO certified, that means that you're doing things a particular way. So when external auditors come and they check that, are you really ISO certified in terms of how you do your work, we have to make sure that you are prepped up or you are always ready. So we try and protect you before you even get into trouble, if I can put it like that. But because some CEOs or some people in management positions prefer to go on and do things the way they want to do it, then you eventually get into trouble. We can't do much about it. So I think also it's more advisable to do things in accordance to your certification body than your company. Because at the end of the day, you lose your certificate if you don't do things the right way as an auditor. So choose your battles, choose them wisely.
I want to ask you this, right? As an internal auditor in the space that you're in, do you sense sexism? Another way of asking the question is, have you ever experienced or seen in your industry somebody who may not be as qualified as the next person, but because they qualified in other areas, like in beauty and easiness to, because it's a male dominated area, right? Then they get the job or they get more benefits or more treated more lightly than somebody else who may not have those other features to present except the hardcore work that they do.
I think I have not witnessed anything like that. I think our profession, and also if you are an internal auditor, you're more likely to go into full-on corporate big companies, big establishments. So there, what I would say in our industry, it's very, very much professional. And I think even the women, maybe I can speak for some women that I've been exposed to in the industry, very professional in the sense that you can't toe along those lines. Even if someone sees you in an attractive way, I think it can go to a certain extent, because also, for example, you can't date someone or entertain a relationship in a particular company as an internal auditor or as an auditor, because one, you have to keep your independence and your objectivity. So then it'll have to be something that's declared in the company, and you probably have to be removed from that partners section. So it's very, very difficult. So I think there's really nothing much to it. And also the way most internal auditors present themselves, I think they make it difficult for them to be entertained in that way. But I wouldn't know. In other spaces.
What do you mean the way they present themselves, they make it difficult to be entertained in that way? How so?
Like I'm saying, I think the profession itself requires you to keep a certain level of objectivity, independence, and you're almost there in the company, but you're also not fully there as a person, if I can put it like that. So it's your work that must echo. It's your work that must introduce you. People must know you more for your work than your looks and how you dress. So I think maybe that's a benefit of being in the profession. Most people, their work introduces them before they look, so how they dress, and also how you present yourself is also part of your requirements as an internal auditor. You can't also be entertaining certain conversations. You can't be a part of certain conversations. You can't be a part of certain departments. So it's very secluded as much as you are in the company. almost sort of don't belong there. So you don't even get a chance to interact with everyone on a personal or social level. So all of your interactions are very much protected or guarded. So I think it's difficult.
Are you saying that you've never heard of an interaction between an internal auditor and somebody in the company? Never in the years that you've been in the industry? Okay.
Is it so? Like in your experience, right? You've worked with mostly men or women.
I've worked mostly with, okay, so it varies because now you also interact with everyone from CEO level to
No, I'm talking
general
about in your
level.
team.
Team,
In
more
your immediate
females.
team.
So I've had
What's the
two
ratio?
females in my department and one guy. Then the other one, it's been a guy and a girl. Then the other one, so I think there's quite a balance. It's quite a good balance. Male, female. What I can say though is what we are witnessing is a difference in race. So you rarely find black female internal auditors in the same level of position as a white male chartered accountant or internal auditor.
Why?
I think that's very distinct.
Why is that?
I'm not sure, but I think like any other industry, white people have had privileges into certain professions and industries more than black people have had, and also people of color. So I think in general, you have most of the time white counterparts taking up the more professional, more paying, more well-seasoned all-rounder jobs than other people of color.
So is there like backbiting mentality in that industry to get to the next thing? As much as there's no, no sexism or whatever to get there, so that's eliminated. But then how does one get to? Because imagine if I'm not saying it's that easy, but I mean if the pathway is so straightforward, you just got to go and study your board exam and then you get a CIA. So 3 of us go and do that. We're working in the same company. Who they're going to choose? Because they're not going to choose the most beautiful, because you just said now there's no sexism there, right? Is there like, backbiting, backstabbing, each one to his own?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think corporates in general, but I'll speak for my profession. I think the toxic trait of corporate is that backbiting and trying to get to the next level. And also in corporate, you find that there can only be one director of a specific department. There can only be one chief executive of a specific department at a time. So everyone is trying to climb. That's why there's a term climbing the corporate ladder. So we're all climbing the ladder and only one person can get there. So you can imagine the commotion that happens in that climbing. Everyone is going to try. Sometimes people want to step on other people to climb and make it to the top. So I think that one is general and it's common and it's frequent. Even with males and females, I think that's the interaction more than your sexism. I think it leans more towards the males trying to prove themselves that I can do better than you. I'm a man after all, so I'll get there quick. And also, maybe it's different now because of some movements like your feminism movement. So females are tried to get to the next level. They try and push you up, but they'll always prefer the male because also you can be in the workplace for 100% of the time in comparison to a female. Females, you get married, you might get pregnant. You have to be off work for a particular time. So it's more preferable in corporate to have a male person climb up than the female.
Also, females have that time of the month. So on a particular day when you didn't do your documents, this female comes at that time of the month and she's just giving it to you.
I don't
Also,
agree.
females are so emotional. If her husband
Yeah,
just told
I'll
her
throw this
something,
mic at you.
come
I'll
to work
throw
today
this mic
and
at
then
you.
just lash it out on you. There's a lot with you.
You getting hit with this mic. Wow.
I'm thinking, should I let you throw it?
Wow.
Is it not the truth though?
No, it's not the truth.
Not
It's
necessarily.
not every woman is like that.
I'm sure you don't have that because you bully the people all the time. And
I
they're
do
scared
not.
of you.
I do not. I do not.
They're
The
just
people
scared
love
of
to
you.
work with me. I'm a clown. Time of the month or not everybody is like that. Gwen said she, on that time of the month, she prefers to be at home. I don't. I want to get out. I want to get my 10,000 steps in so that I don't have any cramps. And once I'm out the house, I'm a different person. You've seen I talk to you about something and I'm sad and you can pick me up and it's a vibe. Not
I don't
everybody's
know
like
that
that.
that's the time of the month for you or not.
No, that's what I'm saying. And mind you, a lot of women choose not to go to that time of the month. So there's different contraceptives that women take to prevent that from happening so they don't experience it at all. Before I had my daughter, I was
Yes.
on it for 6 years. I didn't have that. So yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
TMI, right?
Yes.
Do you feel like as a woman you need to work harder than a man in your space?
To some degree, I think you do. You have to prove yourself. Some women, how can I put this? Yeah, you have to work harder than your male counterpart, or you are expected to prove yourself more than your male counterpart. I don't know. I think it's just a thing, but not so drastic. From my experience, work is work.
Can you check it there for us, please? Because I think we might have went even over our time there. Can you internally audit someone's relationship?
Like how?
We both don't answer to that.
How?
Like,
Please expand.
like, can you give,
No.
as an internal auditor, you'll give like, okay, it's like, you see when you go to a company, you take all the
I think I
files
get
and
where
then
you're
you'll see,
going.
okay, this is not working for you. This is where your company is failing. This is where, right? So I'm trying to put internal auditing and almost like a counselor or a psychologist in the same space, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a twofold question. So the first question is, can you internally audit someone's relationship? And secondly, what is relationships like for internal auditors? Is it normal? Or do you always audit your partner? You know, you always
question.
audit
That's
single
very
Good
partner.
interesting. That's actually
Good
a very
question.
interesting question. So the first part, can you internal audit other people's relationships?
Like if somebody thinks you're an internal auditor and you tell him all this, the first thing they're thinking in my mind is like, hey, I wonder if I have to tell you about my relationship problems, will you be able to say, you know what, okay, this is why.
I think in that space, we are not well informed or trained to divulge. And also, I think every relationship, every two people interaction is very unique to them. I think people should be their own internal auditors for their own relationships. It saves everyone.
I think everybody should be their own internal auditors internally for themselves instead of expecting externally from the next person.
So you do the internal audits for yourself as an individual, and it makes it easier to enter into a relationship or exit a relationship because you've done the audit from within. Because when you audit yourself, it's very easy to see that, do I want to be a part of this or do I not? So rather do the personal internal audit, because then you tend to navigate your life easier, because now there's boundaries, there's limits, you know where you're going, and you know what steps you need to take. So if the other person is coming and they don't fit the path that you're taking, what are you doing there?
I disagree,
What are you doing?
Gwen.
Okay.
Because your heart and your mind can want something different. It got to take the two of them to come to agreement for you to step away or to step into a situation. So your heart can say, listen, this is not right. And your mind is saying, no, this is the right thing to do. They have to come to agreement for you to.
But doesn't have to be based on experience though. So you only know what's right and what's wrong based on past experiences. For example, I wouldn't know that it's wrong to have sex before marriage if I didn't get burnt from having sex before marriage in the past.
There's also that. There's also that some people learn by their experiences. Some people learn by other people's experiences. Certain experiences you can totally avoid. Certain experiences, some people want to experience them and then make a decision based on that. But like I said, internal audit and relationships, I think they're very unique to the person, because like you're mentioning, your heart and your mind can tell you two different things. So then it's up to you to follow your mind or your heart? Which one is stronger than the other? And also, what's your ultimate goal for relationships in general? You know,
Gwen, were you a little girl playing writing on the or playing hopscotch on the road and you decided I want to be an internal auditor? Or how did you get to that space?
I've always wanted to be in business, but I thought I want to be a CA because I think chartered accountancy is the more prominent term. So you're more familiar with chartered accountants. So that's why I went into accounting, studied accounting. And then when I went into it, then you knew the difference. Oh, there's internal audit. This is what they do. There's chartered accountancy. This is what you focus on. There's your cost accountants. There's your tax practitioners. So those are all the accounting fields, but they're very different in their major focus. So when I learned about internal audit, I said, this is what I want to do. But I've always wanted to be in business. I always wanted to belong to a professional business space. And that's what I pursued.
And in your own opinion, which pays better? To be an internal auditor or a chartered accountant?
I think chartered accountants.
I was going to say, let me take a guess. Chartered accountants.
Yeah. Chartered accountants, I think they make much better than, well, not much better. Also it depends on your qualifications and experience. So also that plays a part, and also which industry you're in. So
also because they steal the company's money.
That's wild.
Not my words, his.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're a chartered accountant, I'm always going to be the real one. Yeah. If you're a chartered accountant and I got a business, I'm going to say, you know, I'll leave you to handle all the funds. You're going to tell me whatever money I'm making, I'm going to believe you. But you could be taking $1 million, $2 million from there. I'm not even going to know because you're the chartered accountant.
It does happen.
So, yeah, you're always going to make more money. But an internal auditor is going to first take the money and then internally audit themselves and say, you know what? I'm going to lose my certificate. Let me put this money back. That's the difference, right?
I think, no, there is some level of truth from what you've mentioned. I think chartered accountants, you have exposure to the funds, so it's up to your integrity what you do. But they get paid more, I think, in general. But not so different, but definitely it's them and I think other professionals.
So you say from young you've always just wanted to be in business.
Yeah.
Now that you're in it, do you still want to be in business? And for the long run?
I think I got to a point where I knew that by 30, I want to be out. So out.
Can you just tell our kids how old you are
28.
now? Okay.
So I had a plan or a desire to get to 30 and not be full-time internal auditing because of so many reasons, the pressures, and also I think if you are someone who's pursuing family structure, you are more likely to want to venture into other things.
Like what?
Other than internal
like
audit.
Podcasting.
So I've got an interest in media and podcasting. Like I mentioned that I've done radio before. So I was in Radio DUT and some community radio station before that. So I think I've always had a knack. I knew that, okay, there's something in it for me here in this space. And then podcasting came through and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I think the interesting part is, you know, when I started my podcast, I didn't really know what to do. I had to, I didn't even know what a YouTube studio is, to be honest. And then I got some assistants here. And he was
Look
like,
at you
okay,
now.
this is what
Tell
you
us
need to
that
do.
story.
At
Tell
you
us
now.
that story. How? Because that
Captain,
was my question. How did you get
Captain,
into the podcast?
Into
look at your
podcasting.
head, it's
Yeah.
swelling.
Right. So I was going to do a video about career paths and what you need to do in your career, which career path is best for you. Because I think a lot of people are asking me questions along those lines. So I thought I'm just going to do one video and answer all the questions and give my perspective and then just put it out there. So I shot that video and my producer was like, so where are you going to house it? I said, no, we can just put it on Instagram or Facebook. But he's like, why not on YouTube? But prior to that, I think it's a conversation that I was having particularly with friends and good people around me. And
Why are
so
you
I
making
always,
faces?
so I always knew that
Why are you making faces like that?
at some point, I'm going to start a podcast. At some point, I'm going to do this. But when that time came, when I finished shooting that video, that's when I knew that, okay, now we are doing it. But now the question came, where do we start? What do you need? How am I going to do it? And I think that's where he comes in, because then, I had to seek counsel. Please help me. And also he knew that I wanted to do it, and he was like encouraged me to do it. So then I was like, okay, I guess it's time.
The tribe
And
has spoken.
you know, so he helped me set up all of that, the YouTube studio, everything, literally to the first short clip that you see there. He did all of that, and yeah, we started, and throughout, I've always had that knowledge, or knowing that I can do it because of the support that I have. Um, so that's how my podcasting journey began. And
What is your
it's in,
podcast about? What do you focus on? What's the core? If somebody else were to ask you to, what is your podcast about? Describe it to me. How would you?
I think from the couple of guests that I've had, it's more focused on politics, economy, and your religious or spiritual aspect, because I think those are the major pillars in life, and your social aspect. So I
All the
think
things that Tiggs doesn't focus on.
I think in life you are governed by your spirituality, your economy, your political aspects, and your social aspects. Those are things you can't run away from. You're exposed to it. You live under them. So I think for me, the main thing is to get understanding on all of them and what's happening with them, and how do they come together? What is the way forward? How can people express their being to their full potential and capacity, having been exposed to these four pillars? So I think my podcast is more, but also it's very vast. I think it goes where it needs to go. So you can plan your questions and you plan your conversation, but it just takes a different direction. Also dependent on the guest and the knowledge that they have. So it's always interesting. I think that's why I love this space so much, because it's just a learning experience. You'll never know where you're going to land. And also you get to meet new people almost every episode. So I definitely love that space.
You're doing this. Sorry, you're doing this on your own, right? You have your producer, but I
Yeah.
mean, so with us, we've got Melissa. Unfortunately, you don't have the privilege of having a Melissa. I'm telling you, get yourself a Melissa. She doesn't run flat, it's ever ready, always. The battery's always there.
Is your
You
Melissa
can
available?
call her. No, she's not available. Somebody did try to push her away from her. She's unavailable.
Yeah, because I also like your Melissa. So is she up for grabs?
No, she isn't. I'm just saying,
Ish.
I can describe her to you. You can go and look for it on your own. I'm sure there's some out there.
Ish.
You can speak to her. Maybe she'll plug you, but you can't take her. But I'm saying, like, you do it on your own pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is some of the advice? Because a lot of podcasts are popping up now. A lot. Celebrities have decided they don't want to be celebrities anymore. They want to be
Yes.
podcasters, government officials. There's that guy that you sent me. I looked into him. He was actually a person who ran the music, I'm saying the entertainment studios, and he was a pastor or whatever. Now he's a podcaster. So what advice would you give to somebody to encourage them? And also, what is the most challenging things for you that you found about podcasting or your podcasting journey?
I think before you start, have a strong why. Know why you're doing it, because it's very challenging. So like you're mentioning, there's a lot of things that most people don't get to see. There's your pre-production, there's your production, and there's your post-production. So all of those things require a lot of work and commitment. I think I'm fortunate to have a producer that is passionate about his job. So everything technical, I don't get involved in. he tells me we need this, we need that, and that's how we're going to roll. So I just need to focus on getting the guests and everything else. But I think, like you're mentioning, most people now, everyone is starting a podcast. I think it's a good thing. We need to have conversations, and I think conversations influence ideas, and ideas influence people, and people change the way of living. So I think we need to get to a point of understanding why we're having so many podcasts. What conversations do we want to have, and why are we having those conversations? What's the objective about a particular podcast? What points do you want to bring across? Dr. Miles Monroe mentioned that if you want to kill an idea, don't kill the man. Exchange that idea with another idea. So it automatically kills that idea. So I think that's also the power of podcasting and having conversations, intentionally having conversations that have a particular output that you're longing for, because they do absolutely shape the next human being. Challenging points, like I mentioned, pre-production and post-production. There's a lot that happens there. You guys know it.
What
You
about
guys
scheduling guests? Guests help you
scheduling
today.
guests, and guests not available the next day. They have to cancel, and you've already paid maybe so much money to get there, and also the equipment is expensive.
Yo.
Everything is just so taxing, and also you have to be present. So the
And
podcast
before
can't
you've
happen.
actually found a spot now, Radisson Blue, shout out to you. You had to be looking for different
Mm,
spots all the time.
So there's also that. Where are we going to shoot the episode? Do we have the right community and environment around us? Are my guests safe? That's always what I go for. Are you having your podcast in a safe environment? So there's actually a lot. There is a lot that goes on, and also I think YouTube is really the long game. That's what I've been told. So with YouTube, you're playing the long game, where there's so many things that you need to do before you get noticed or recognized or actually grow. But one step at a time, and if you have a strong why, consistency will get you where you need to be.
And on YouTube, guys, you can't go and pay to boost your videos and all that.
Yes.
You have to have genuine people clicking on your YouTube channel and watching. You can't just go and put a 50 Rand there and then think you're going to get 1,000 subscribers. So if you're enjoying this episode so far, please like and subscribe and share to your friends so that we can actually grow. Really appreciate it.
Right. So, when I was asking, can a internal auditor audit a chartered accountant?
Yes. That's how it normally works. Because the accountant is also part of the company, and also they handle the financial aspects of the company. So the chartered accountant.
Sorry.
Okay, you can ask the question again.
Okay.
And it's a chartered account.
Chartered account.
I told you, Lorraine should have been in the room.
A chartered accountant
Can end.
can an internal auditor audit a chartered accountant.
Something we got a ghost. Why you don't let Ma ask the question?
No, I think Ma's going to be my Melissa.
No, I'm saying nobody can see.
No.
Okay, let me just set the timer now.
You can't set the timer now because we already pressed play.
Yeah, but it's 24 minutes. It was never more than 6 minutes.
Okay, Melissa.
Right.
Ask your question.
And chartered.
And chartered.
No, that's not right though. No, an
And.
internal auditor.
Yes.
AEIOU. Okay, yes. So not an chartered, and internal. Yeah, AEIOU. Okay. Sorry, I was just telling myself that word. That's not for you.
All right. Are we done now?
Griffiths. My cousin Sebastian, he's done.
Wow. Wow.
Sure.
We'll see him next week. Right. So, for take 17. Let's go. Gwen,
Yeah, boy.
can a chartered accountant
She's shaking her head in the back.
I'm also
It has to be a blooper. It has to. It has to be.
Internal auditor.
Sorry?
I get
Say
this.
it
She
again,
loves
Ma.
doing this.
Say it again.
Can an internal, what is an internal auditor? A-I-O. A-E-I-O-U. Can internal
Kevin, give you a blooper. You have to post this one. You have to.
Say chartered accountant.
Chartered accountant.
Yeah.
Right. Can an
You
internal
got it.
auditor chartered accountant?
You think I can't?
No, what were you saying? What was she saying?
No, cause you're making me nervous now. Even my legs are sweating now. I'm telling you.
She's an internal auditor. We're asking her. She is an internal auditor. Can she audit a chartered accountant? Can an internal auditor audit a chartered accountant?
Okay, or you can say, can you audit a chartered accountant?
No, we have
Can
to.
you
This
audit
has to be
a
a
chartered
blooper.
accountant?
No.
So can you as an internal auditor audit a chartered
Gwen,
accountant? That's the
Gwen,
question.
you messed us up. Yeah,
It's like,
Gwen.
what's that thing? She sells.
She sells on the seashore.
Yo.
Yeah.
Okay.
3, 2,
Petipot,
1.
but the butter was butter. So petipot, better butter to make the butter pizza. Let's go.
Let's go.
Gwen,
Yeah, boy.
take 18. Can you, as an internal auditor, audit a chartered accountant?
Yes, you can. And yes, you should. So internal auditors look at financial statements as well. And also we look at the risk aspects of the financial statements. Have they been tampered with? He mentioned something very important before, that the chartered accountant himself can actually manipulate the funds so that he can have some, for himself. So I think with internal audit, because you are so secluded from the operational aspects of the company, so you don't know what's going on. So you have fresh eyes, and also you have your expertise to actually check what's happening. So because we also look at internal control, so we look at what's happening around the finances, the receipt, who's getting the receipt to sign it, who's approving the invoice, who's initiating the invoice. So we look at all of those aspects to ensure that the segregation of duties, there's also transparency and all of those things. So internal auditors do audit chartered accountants. And that's why when you're studying, when you do your degree or before you actually get to your separate fields, which is your CIA and your CA, you do the same modules. So you have your financial accounting, and then when you grow into your specific fields, that's when you focus then more on what you're going to specialize in. So internal auditors do audit chartered accountants.
What advice can you give to young girls who are struggling to find their path in life? So spiritual advice.
I think start as early as you can. I think maybe people have this notion that if you're looking at spiritual aspects of things, you need to be church girl and that's it. So hence then they find it boring. It's for old people, for my mother and my granny. But I think getting to know yourself or trying to know yourself spiritually is good if you try early, because then it helps you develop a sense of conviction for yourself. So yes, you'll get your advice from your parents and your family members and everyone, but I think, what do you do when your mom is not there to stop you or to discipline you? What disciplines you as a young girl? So having a sense of conviction at a young age, at an early stage of your life, really helps more, especially for you, than anyone else. No one can live your life. And unfortunately or fortunately, it's your choices that determine the outcomes of your life. So if you can make better choices at a very early stage or at a very young age, then it's kudos to you, because this is your life and you live with you for the rest of your life. So do it for yourself. Don't do it to impress your family. Don't do it to impress everyone else around you. But find your path as quickly as possible. It eliminates or protects you from so many experiences. Like I mentioned earlier, so many people want to experience through their own experiences. Some experiences, you can look at how people have lived life prior to you and how life panned out because of those decisions. And you can decide, do I want to follow the same route or do I want to maybe try something different?
Perfect. So there was a scripture in the Bible I thought of when I thought of this question. So it says, this is the New King James Version, but it says, flee the evil desires of youth and pursue righteousness, faith, love, peace, along with those who call on the Lord. Call. Can I start again? Yeah.
Let's go.
Flee the evil desires of youth and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart. And there's another scripture in 2 Timothy 2 that speaks about where pure heart comes from. And it says from youth, setting an example in faith, love, in purity. You know that one? It starts from there. I have another one. Hold on. I have another question. So can you tell the Tiggs family what are some of your favorite self-care practices or rituals that help you stay grounded? Like, I don't know, maybe you have a skincare routine that you do with a Bible. I don't know.
Skincare routine that you do with the Bible.
Yes.
A skincare routine
Yes.
that you do with the Bible.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, what, take the Bible and
So
start putting it like this?
no.
Your face.
No.
What you mean?
So I will use my example, right? I use it's called milk, skin milk instead of like, yeah. Sorry. I use cleansing milk instead of like a face wash. So I will put the cleansing milk on and I'll read through scriptures and then I'll know by then when I'm done with that, I wash it off.
You put honey afterwards.
No, I've got other
Oh.
stuff that I add in.
Because
So
the
I'm
Bible
just
says the
asking.
land of milk and honey. So I thought that's what you meant.
Okay. Pastor Griffin.
Wow, wow,
I
wow.
thought that's what you meant.
So self-care practices.
So wait, you put the milk on your face
And
and then you read a verse.
And then I read a verse or two.
And then
I wash it off. And then I take it's a tonic. I put it on the, what's this white thing called? The cotton wool. And I put it on my face, and when it starts burning, I've already read about 2 or 3 scriptures, and then I wash it off like that. I just gave an example.
That's
Doesn't
very
mean
interesting. It's actually, I think it's like a lovely thing to do for yourself.
You think it worked? Looking
what
at
word?
face.
Absolutely, girl. Anyway, okay, I don't have anything along those lines, but I think self-care, maybe a thing that I love to do is just go out. So then I'm going out with my friend. Also, another thing, I highly advise solo dates. Solo dates, I cannot stress them enough. And like I mentioned before, it just helps you get to know yourself more before you bring in someone else. So solo dates, do what you enjoy doing. I enjoy shopping. If I have the means to shop, I'll go buy something nice, a nice outfit, or I'll do my hair, or I'll buy maybe a particular lipstick. But I think I'm a girly girl, if I can put it like that. So I like most female orientated things, and I spend my time doing that. But also I enjoy spending time with my girl. I've got very few friends. I think they around nothing more than 6.
And I'm one of them.
I said my girls. I said my girls.
Oh.
sorry.
Okay, wait. How many guy friends do you have?
One. I enjoy spending time with my girls because I've got friends that we share the same values with. And also because I don't have a lot of friends, then there's not much time to entertain friendships or anything like that. Because also that comes with its own work and drama. And I think the older you get, you want to stabilize
small
family than
circle.
friendships. I think that works best. So I absolutely enjoy time with my girls, and also we share the same life values and principles. So if I'm with one of them, there's always a fruitful conversation to have, and I think that's important.
Do you audit
I
your
like
friends?
that you said
My friends
solo
are auditors
dates.
themselves, eh?
You'll audit each
So
other. Do you think it's important to
it's a
audit your
double-edged
friends?
sword with my friends because we tell each other like, "Girl,
Do
We're
you
going
think
back to auditing.
no,
Can we
back,
come back this
wait,
time?
back on the
Can
advice
we
that
come back this
back on
time?
the advice that Melissa was asking, what advice do you give to people, right? Do you think it's good advice to audit your friends or your circle?
Well, I'm feeling like you shooting shoots
Every
in this at
episode
me,
you're
yeah?
always feeling like something is meant for you. That's not always about you, Melissa. Oh. Do you think, I'm just asking generally speaking, do you think
to audit your
it's
friends,
good to audit your circle, your friends, the people around you?
like audit them how?"
You know, somebody once told me there's 3 types of friends that you get.
Mm-hmm.
Friends for a reason, friends for a season, and friends for a lifetime. And you only know
Wow.
where each person fits in when you
Pause.
have an audit. Sometimes you're carrying friends that had passed the expiry date, but you hadn't audited that relationship. You're keeping them because of a particular value they brought into your life at that point, but you've transcended that, and you haven't yet went back and actually said, let me have an audit done on this relationship to see if this person is still contributing to my life in the manner in which they first did.
I think the self-audit automatically audits everything else around you. So more than audit my friends, to be honest, no, but I think I'm very comfortable with growth and everything that comes with growth. So if I'm growing to a particular direction and maybe that friend is going to a different direction, then I feel that we will automatically outgrow each other, and that's okay. So I think the self audit really helps you because the more you get to know yourself is the more you get to know everything else around you. You get to feel like discern, okay, is this person, do we still have that same friendship that adds value to each other? Why do we even have this friendship to begin with? Because I'm not one for passing time. So every person in my life has a particular reason. And if that reason has fulfilled its purpose, then let's grow because the ultimate point is to grow. And I think as you grow, you find people along the way, and it's perfectly fine. So internal work helps so much because you don't have to do that external work, but the internal work kind of does the external work itself. And also, I think people, you
So
can
basically, you
feel,
must be the charters,
you can,
accountants of your
of
own
your own
life.
life before everyone else and everyone around you. People will feel the change begins with you. People will feel the difference. Someone will feel the change or the growth or whatever you have implemented in your life since you've been a friend.
But
And they will
also, you
either
have to be
grow
alone to do that.
to do
Remember when
that.
you spoke
Yes.
about solo dates? How you always with these people that you've maybe outgrown.
Mm.
If you don't take a step back alone and look it from the outside, then you won't know. I saw a post on Facebook once where this guy said, you have to be really conceited to go and have lunch on your own. And I just thought, wow, you've never spent time alone. Like, how is that weird?
Each to their
How do
own.
you,
Yeah,
come
each to their
on.
own. Each to their own. Yeah, but I absolutely love the self audit more than anything. I think it audits and I think auditing comes with honesty. So if you're not going to be honest with yourself, you know when it's time to let go. You know when it's time to grow. You know when you are not growing. You know when you are not hitting those goals. You know where you are in your life. And only you know your convictions and where you want to go in life. And the decision lies with you when it comes to everything else around you.
Some people don't know that though, or they are too caught up in this culture, or they're scared of cancel culture because I feel like we're living in a
Can you explain what cancel culture
a
is?
cultural society,
Mm-hmm.
right, where everybody's following what the cultural trends are.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you don't, as Melissa's saying, you only get to realize certain things when you have those solo dates.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you're too interested or too invested in keeping up with the culture. You don't want to get canceled by cancel culture. So if you, to explain cancel culture, if you're in a group of friends, right, that you once felt were, benefiting your narrative at that point, but then you've done your internal audit on yourself and you realize that, you know what, I'm in a space where it's my time to spiritually grow, I need to come out of this cocoon and blossom in from a caterpillar to a butterfly. I need to leave this cocoon. Some people don't take well to that because they were benefiting off you, So when you do that amicably, in your opinion, they cancel culture you to try to kind of kill your name amongst everywhere. So, for example, let's say it's in a work environment, which is sometimes the most unfortunate things that happen. They know you because they were friends with you. They know your aspirations. They know your ambitions.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've realized that just entertaining them too much is kind of slowing you down, it's not that they're wrong or they're bad. It's just that you need to take more time and focus on yourself. The minute you start doing that, what they'll start to do is throw sand in the fire you're trying to ignite for yourself in the future, canceling you in that same breath, because they know this is what you want, and they know that if you get there, they're not going to be able to benefit from you anymore.
Cap cut, man. That does a lot. But I agree with you 100%. I have another question for you, Gwen. Um, as you sit here now as an established 28-year-old, I know you personally don't believe in this, but if you had a time machine, you could jump in and go back to when you were maybe 12 or 14. What advice would you give yourself? Or what do you know now that you'd like to share?
I think I would love to go back and let myself know, my 12-year-old self know, that it always works out. And it always works out for your own good. So as long as you have the right intentions with everything, it always works out for your own good. You can never go wrong. Have the right spirit, the right mindset, and the right heart with your approach, everything, family, friends, your vision, your goals, your career, everything. If you have the right heart and the right intentions, it will always work out for you. It's working out for your good.
Okay, one last one. Can you tell me your favorite scripture before we close?
Whew. Psalm 139, verse 5, it says, "You go before me and you go ahead of me. You place your hand of blessing over my head." Yeah, for me, it's like a daily reminder that I'm protected. So nothing can go wrong. Anything that seems to be going wrong is taking me to where I'm supposed to be. So I'm protected. I'm good.
Thank you so much for spending so much time with us, Gwen.
It's a
You're an
pleasure.
absolute sweetheart.
Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this episode of the Everyday Gents. When the TV is moving like that in the camera, it literally felt like the camera was moving towards me. I'm like, yo. So if you see that moment where my eyes are opening bigger, it's just that's what's happening. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Everyday Gents. We will catch you all in the next one as well. If you enjoyed this episode, once again, please like and subscribe. Also, make sure to tune in to Gwen's channel. It is called Perspectives with Gwen, and it's an amazing channel as well. Thank you so much for coming through and your support. Till the next time, peace, love, joy, like a river, mountain, fountain. I'm out.
Say perspectives again.